Welcome everyone to the second episode of Origin Story. My name is Ren Geekness, and you voted for this gentleman to be my next guest, my second guest on the second episode of this podcast. And we're about to get into Cris Parker of 3CFilms Origin Story. Cris, thank you so much for being here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. Really appreciate you asking me to join, and I hope I have a good story to tell.
Oh, I'm sure you do, and I like to get like right into it. Like, what's your favorite? Not your favorite, sorry. What's your first like big memory when it comes to like a movie, meaning something special to you?
Man, my first memory of it would have to be the Hercules movie by Disney. That was the one
Oh,
that like just got it started all. Like that was my first like superhero like movie, and that really just got me excited into wanting to watch more films as a kid and stuff like that. So I'd have to say Disney's Hercules.
yeah, I love that one too. So I like to hear that one getting some love, man. And And was there someone like we all grow up, someone shows us movies and whatnot? Is there someone in your family, like was it your mother, your father, who just got you to see all these sorts of movies and start to nurture your love for them in general?
It was probably my dad. My dad was definitely way more into movies and whatnot. So it was always him who was showing me them. In fact, he worked for Blockbuster, so it was really
Nice.
easy for him to come home, with movies and whatnot. So it's for sure my dad. My mom watched them too, but my dad was just way more into them, and he was the one showing me around more.
All right. And would you ever like ask your dad for a movie that you weren't supposed to be able to watch, but he got it for you?
Well, my dad was always really cool about that. I didn't know that movies had like R ratings, PG-13s, anything like that until like I was a little older, and I was at a friend's house and I wanted to watch a movie and their parents wouldn't let us because of a rating. And then that was my first like introduction to like, oh wow, movies have ratings. I had no idea. So my dad was always cool about letting me see stuff. But I mean, I wasn't really trying to see all the really bad stuff. It was just if I wanted to see something, he'd let me see it, and then if it was bad or something, he'd obviously cover my face or something like that.
Yeah. No, I understand. And you're a big horror guy from your
Yeah,
channel. What's your first horror memory?
was Nightmare on Elm Street. So my dad would come home from Blockbuster with a bunch of different movies. It was around the time they were getting rid of VHS tapes.
Mhm.
So he would come home with just like a box of VHS tapes, and I would just be digging through, and I'd only have the title. I didn't have really the internet to like look up what a movie was or what was happening there. So I would just have to go from the title. And I remember I just picked Nightmare on Elm Street. I popped it in, and it got me so scared. I was so terrified, but I was too scared to get up and go turn it off because I was just by myself and all that. So that would be my first memory.
And how old were you at that time?
Probably like 6 or 7. I was pretty young, but I remember I like that feeling. It's kind of like the
Yeah.
feeling when you're on a roller coaster,
Yeah.
just that adrenaline rush. So I like that scared feeling. It's hard to get it now when you're older and you know how movies are made and it's all fake and stuff. But I just really like that as a kid, that feeling of being scared.
Yeah. Would you say that that was the moment you got on the horror road and just
Oh
kept
yeah.
going up until today?
For sure, for sure. That was definitely what got me thinking like, okay, I need to see more horror movies. I need to do more, and that's where I got into like all the classics and stuff like that. So Nightmare on Elm Street is what started for me with the horror movies.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's awesome. And you're from Texas now. You're in
Yeah.
Dallas, I believe. Were you always from Dallas? Were you always like local? Did you never move around?
No, I was always in Dallas, always in Texas. It's kind of hard to see myself going somewhere else now just because I've been here my whole life. But I mean,
Yeah.
California would be nice to just hear it's like so expensive, and New York also sounds cool, but again, expensive. So I think I'll
Yeah.
probably just end up staying in Texas. I like it here.
Yeah, it's calm and quiet, and that's the best way, man. I agree. And how about growing up? When you were growing up and loving movies and loving horror especially, were you like the kid in your class or in your group of friends that was like, "Oh, Chris is the movie guy." Were you that kid?
Uh, Yes and no, like not real young, but like in middle school and high school, yeah, because I would always just want to invite my friends to movies while other people wanted to go like to parties or do other things like bowling alley. I don't even know. My thing was always like, let's go to a movie, let's go to a movie, let's go to a movie. That's just what I was always wanting to do. And even like now doing YouTube full time, and some people from high school find me, they leave comments like, you always did like movies. And I was like, I didn't think I showed it that much, but I guess I did.
And was it always a positive experience for you, or you never like shunned away because you quote unquote just liked movies? Were you always just cool with the group and they like that you like movies and whatnot?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was always good with it. I rarely had negative experience, and even then, I don't like to stay too much on negative because you can lean on to that and stuff just gets sad, and the world's already negative enough.
For sure, man. Especially now.
Yeah.
And how about relationships? Was it always a cool thing that you clicked with the person right away, or was it sometimes something you had to work on? Like the person didn't like movies as much as you
That
did.
that is like a big deal. It sounds dumb, but yeah, whenever I would get in relationships and stuff like that, that would always kind of be my thing. Cause like, some people think, oh, like what are their eating habits or what are their lifestyles like? To me, the first thing I think about is like, what are their movie preferences? Cause that's what I'm going to have to watch for the rest of my life with this person if I decide to go that route. And like my current girlfriend, she hates horror movies. She's like, she just can't get into them. She just doesn't like being scared, especially like demonic haunting type movies, just because she grew up very religious. So she's like, you can't mess with that stuff with her. Like I joke around about like one day buying a Ouija board for fun, and she's like, no, 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 that's not allowed in the house. But we've come to an agreement. She's like, I'll watch new horror movies that are released in theaters, but a horror movie at home she won't watch. So I've grown to be okay with it. But like that's the only thing. I mean, she still gets into like the Marvel movies. She loved the Back to the Future movies. That was one of my favorite things when I get in a relationship. Is sometimes you meet someone that hasn't seen your favorite movie. Like the Rocky movies or the Back to the Future movies and stuff like that. And that's like my favorite part is just showing them those movies and seeing them fall in love with them. Because like she thought she was gonna hate the Rocky movies. Because just today's day and age, they look old. They look very dated, like they came from a long time ago. And no, I was surprised that she actually loved them and she stuck through with them, and it made her appreciate like the Creed movies even more. So that is some of the stuff I like.
Yeah, nice. And you just brought up two things that I actually want to ask. Like you brought up that your current girlfriend grew up very religious. How about you? Was that a thing in your house, and kind of horror movies about possessions and demons and whatnot were like to stay away?
I mean, yeah, I grew up in a Catholic household, and they were very strict on me religiously. I'm not all that religious now. I'm just kind of like in between. Don't know. Still trying to find where I belong and whatnot. But it didn't really affect me since my dad was just always so open to let me watch whatever I wanted as long as I watched it responsibly. It was perfectly fine. So no, I don't think the religion really got to me or anything like that. If anything, I don't even like the demonic or evil possession movies because I find them a little boring. I like other than like The Conjuring or like that. Like I feel like there's just so many of the like Exorcist type movies or paranormal movies that I don't get into those that much. I like horror movies that feel realistic, like the Scream movies. Someone like actually in a mask that could be stalking you and going after you, like those real world settings. Because I think those are like the haunting movies are more scarier if you are super religious.
Yeah, no, I understand. And you also brought up like showing maybe someone you're new in a relationship with movies they haven't seen before, but you love. But I want to twist that around. Do you now, like, you're into movies, you do YouTube full time, you watch a lot of movies earlier, do you get to like show your dad or your mom or just your parents in general, hey dad, you showed me these movies when I was growing up, now you're showing him certain movies that you love?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like my dad's a big Batman fan, and he loves all the Batman stuff. And when he heard Robert Pattinson was Batman, unfortunately, my dad was one of those people that was like, "Oh, the Twilight guy. Oh, that's so lame. How could they get him? This is horrible." And then I told him to check out, Robert Pattinson's movie Good Time. I don't think The Lighthouse is up his journey, so I didn't recommend that, because that's maybe a little extreme for someone casual movie fan. But like a movie like Good Time, like really shows how good of an actor Robert Pattinson is, and even The Devil in Time, that latest Netflix movie, I think. Yeah, and like showing him those movies that he wouldn't have known existed or were out there just because they're smaller, not really hugely marketed movies, it changed his mind. He's like, okay, I'm excited to see Robert Pattinson. So yeah, I definitely do show my dad stuff, but it's usually stuff that's like indie or things that go under the radar that don't get heavily marketed or big blockbusters, because he's always on top of like knowing what big blockbusters are coming to theaters when theaters are open.
Yeah, for sure. And I have this, so I want to know if you have it. Is there a movie like that you really love, and then you go to show your dad, and he doesn't, and you're like, "Come on, Dad."
No, because that one's hard, because my dad is the type of person, maybe that's where I get it from, where he mostly likes everything. As long as it was watchable, he thinks it was a good movie. Like yeah, he'll have his issues with it, but if the movie was like caught his attention from beginning to end, he's like, well, that was good. So like it'll actually be the opposite most of the time, where my dad would just like a bunch of movies that I'm like, really, you like that? Oh, okay. But I just try to be positive with it. I think there's rarely times where he I like something and he hates it.
All right. And I do want to move on to YouTube and talk about your journey when you started 4 years ago. I was just looking at your first video. I'm not going to show it. Don't worry.
No,
don't worry. I'm not going to show it.
I was skinnier, man.
But you're also very clearly, from your background, and I don't mean this in anything but a complimentary way, because I am too. You're a geek. You're a big geek.
Yeah.
You're into Funko Pops, was this also, like, with horror, always a thing with you growing up and into now?
Yeah. It was just always something comforting, the geek stuff. The Funko Pops came actually like after I started YouTube for a while. I think the person you interviewed before me, Zach, he was the one that kind of got me into them, just because I would always see him post about it and that lifestyle. And then I just bought my first one day, and then it just like went way out of control, where I have way too many and I need to really downsize because I'm running out of space here. But I don't know, they're just like even this, like I just like looking at them, and they just make me happy. Like I used to be the type who was like, these are so ugly, who could like these? They're dumb, they're lame. But now they actually make them very detailed, and they put a lot of like work into them. When they first came out, they were really ugly to look at. But aside from that, yeah, I just like the geek culture and the community and stuff like that. I think it's just very uplifting, and it just feels nice to be part of a group.
Yeah, for sure. And it is now, because I was talking with Zach also last week, because being a geek was not always cool. It's a very recent thing. So I also wanted to ask, was that also something like, because you're around my age, and you grew up in the 90s mostly as well, so you're a 90s kid, so we generally like the same things. Was it always a cool thing? Like, did other kids enjoy the geek stuff you enjoyed at the time, and moving on and up until today, was it always something that connected your group of friends?
Yeah, like I would have my group of friends who would be into the same stuff I was and whatnot. But I mean, aside from that, you'd have your casual friends. Like in high school, I was the kid who was always wearing superhero t-shirts or movie t-shirts, and I would get called out on it once in a while and stuff like that. It's like, dude, come on, you're a senior and you're wearing a Superman shirt. But like, I really just never thought there's like, even to this day, my wardrobe is still filled with graphic tees that have Spider-Man or have Crash Bandicoot or just some geek thing on it. And you just stick to the friends who also support that and like that. But yeah, I'm getting to that age now where it's like, maybe I should stop wearing that and more button-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it just depends on the occasion.
Yeah.
But and when it comes to like YouTube, let's get into that, because you started, your first video was a review for Captain America Civil War.
Well, I'll be honest with you. That's the first video I have up right now.
Yes.
I did a couple more, but those are all privated and just away. Just because I don't know. It was like, because you've been doing this for a long time too. It takes a while to like get used to just talking to a camera and trying to be natural to yourself. So the first 2010 videos I made, it was just so awkward, so. Just I can't even look at it. I could barely look at that Civil War one, but I was like, it's good enough where I'll have it on. But I also felt like I was putting on such a fake persona where I was like extra happy for no reason. Like, hey, Captain America, guys. And now I'm just like, I can be calm. I can be myself. But yeah, sorry, you were going on.
No worries, please. It's your story. I want you to tell it. So talk freely, my friend. But you uploaded Captain America: Civil War, and then you have a few other movie reviews. But now, even though you do that, it's not like your niche. You do movie news. You do a
Yeah,
few game throughs. I remember one you did
try.
recently where you had the bald cap and you were playing like the Fast and Furious game.
Yeah, I was trying to be
That
Vin
was
Diesel. Yeah,
hilarious. Like
thanks, man.
how did you, not how, but how long do you think it took you to find like your niche? Like, I don't want to just do movie reviews. I want to talk about like the big geek culture stuff, upload the news, and you even do that for horror just in general. Whenever there's horror news, even though a few other channels would never make a video about it or be at the main topic on some news videos, you do an entire video dedicated to it, and you got your background, man. You got your research there and then.
Thanks, man.
How long do you think it took you to find that passion for it?
Well, when I started YouTube, I mainly just wanted to be to like get my opinion out there because like I just would always watch other channels and stuff like Collider, AMC Movie Talk, or other people out there. I used to watch a guy named Peter Rollis who did a show called Movie Buzz that I remember watching all the time when I was younger, and that's all I just wanted. I just wanted my opinion out there, and the movie reviews work to an extent, but I just came to realize unless you're Chris Stuckman or Jeremy Johns or a Dan Merle, no one really cares about your opinion. Just a random kid who just decided to start a YouTube channel. Like, people don't want to watch your reviews because it's like, okay, what's your credentials? What's your background? Why should I listen to your thoughts on this movie? I don't know anything about you. I don't, so I found it really hard to find an audience just making reviews, and like I would just get lucky if I could see a movie maybe a day or two early. Then it's like, okay, well, I'm forced to just watch your opinion even though I know nothing about you. It just really started happening whenever the Child's Play reboot came out. I'm a big horror guy and I'm a big fan of Chucky, and I was actually excited for it when most people were just like automatic to hate it, automatically were like, this is crap just because it was a reboot, and I was like I'll give it a chance. We'll see. And I was following along the news, and I just happened to find a group of people that were also interested or want to know the news every day. Because I remember that's what I would do when like Scream 4 or the Nightmare on Elm Street remake was coming out. Like, that's what I would do before I ever thought about doing YouTube. Is I would get up, I would go to Google, and I'd type up Nightmare on Elm Street update or Nightmare on Elm Street news or leaks or set photos. And that would just be my obsession, is just going through the Google websites and whatnot. So I thought, there must be other people who also wake up every morning just wanting to search up that stuff. And I found it with the Child's Play stuff, and I got lucky. And from there, I was like, well, maybe I could do this with other stuff. So I started talking about Sonic. I started talking about Spider-Man 3. And I'm lucky to have found an audience. But like in 2020, it's so hard to make those type of videos, because like, how can you get people excited for something we don't even know when it's going to come out? It's like it's like, even now, like I've gone like 2 or 3 days without making a video, and I just feel so crummy. I'm like, man, I just want to talk about something, but there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. The last video so earlier today I uploaded a review for the second episode of The Mandalorian. The only video I did before that, apart from the live podcast, was the review for the episode premiere of season 2 of The Mandalorian last week. There's nothing else to talk about.
Nothing, man. I hate it. It feels so dead, and especially with the election and stuff like that, eating the news cycle. It's like no one even wants to talk about anything else.
Yeah, for sure. And next week it's gonna be even deadlier, because people are there in the States. You're going to be playing Miles Morales, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, that's why I have this whole setup right now, and I just ordered this like Spider-Man chair and whatnot.
That is so cool.
I love this thing, man. I can't wait. I know when that comes out, I'm not even going to be making videos because I'm just going to want to play the entire game. So I have to prepare for sure.
Yeah, and I'm going back a little bit with this next question, but it's connected to something I want to ask next. What was the first movie, and maybe it is the first Nightmare on Elm Street, but do you remember what was the first movie that you watched and you were like, oh, hang on, I like movies more than anything else?
It was probably the Back to the Future movies, because those were just perfect. At least the first one to me just blew my mind. I just like the character of Marty McFly, just how interesting the story was, the idea of time travel, the DeLorean, just like everything there is to love about cinema was in that first Back to the Future movie for me. The comedy, the action, the heart, just like a story that had you feeling more. And like when it was over and that was a tease for a second movie, it's just like I was craving more. And so like it'd have to be that first Back to the Future movie. Like it's probably like cliche to say it's one of my favorite movies of all time, but it really is. Like there's just nothing that surpasses that for me. Some people it's Star Wars, and I understand that, but my dad wasn't a fan of Star Wars, so he never
Mm.
showed me those. I actually didn't see like A New Hope, the first Star Wars movie, until I was 20. That's when I
Oh
actually
wow.
first, and that's because I think Force Awakens was about to come out, so I was like, oh, I guess I'll be on the hype train, and I liked it, but I think if I saw it as a kid, maybe I would have liked it a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. I have a similar experience. I didn't watch them growing up either, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So
Oh,
there's that.
see, yeah, it worked out for you.
Yeah, it did. Um, but then going on to YouTube, you mentioned a few channels that also inspired me, also inspired Zach, and I'm sure inspired a lot of people like in our
Oh
quote
yeah.
unquote circle. But when was that first time you were watching maybe a movie review, maybe a podcast about movies, maybe a video with movie news about Scream 4 or something else that you were searching for? And you're like, oh, this is cool. I want to do this. I want to talk about this on YouTube.
Yeah, it would have to be a guy named Peter Rawlis.
Yeah.
He did a show called Movie Buzz, and I thought like everybody watched him back in the day, but I'm hearing now like a lot of people never knew about him. But he basically did what I'm doing now, which I feel bad because I feel like I ripped off his show, but he quit doing it.
Uh,
And I'll get into why in a bit. But he just did a show, a 10-minute show where he would just tell you the latest movie news that was happening in the past couple of days. Be like, oh, Jurassic World 3 delayed to this day, and this actor is attached to this movie, and here's a new poster. And I just was like eating that up. I just like, it was so fascinating to get all that information. And then he quit because he had to go to college and he didn't like, I guess, some of the negativity online and whatnot. And I was like, oh man, I really like that. And then from there, I got into AMC talk with like John Campea,
yeah.
John Schnepp, and all that. And that was, an hour-long thing, and I still liked it. I liked hearing more in depth, and those people, they definitely knew what they were talking about. They seemed way more knowledgeable than the last guy, because I was just a regular guy, just hearing stuff online. Like these are guys who live in Hollywood and are around those people and know how all the industry works. So it was also like very informative. And then of course you would have your reviews that I would watch from Jeremy Johns or Chris Stuckman. So it was just really those people that like really like kind of built it in my head what I could do if I did it on my own.
Yeah. And what would you say is your first video to take off, that you took a second glance to it and you were like, oh, people are watching this?
The first video I did that actually took off was an ending explain video for Hereditary. I remember I went to go see Hereditary, and I really liked it. I thought it was a mind-blowing movie, but my girlfriend, I was like, did you like it? What did you think? And she was like, I was just so confused. I didn't get what was going on. I didn't get what the ending was. Is that a cult? Why were there naked old people at the end? Like, she was just kind of lost. And I thought it was like so obvious what was happening and the story and all the clues. And then that's when it kind of hit me. I was like, instead of a review, what if I do like an ending explain? I've seen some people do that, and it feels like this would be it. And I remember I did the video that same night. I posted it. And that time I was only getting 100, maybe 200 views per video. I woke up the next morning and it was at 10,000. And I was like, what? Like my mind was blown. It was like so insane. Because when you're just hitting 100, 500, 200 views, you're just like, like 10,000 is next level. It's like next world. You just don't believe it. And it was just crazy also seeing comments of people who also didn't understand the movie and were like, oh, this was helpful and all that. So I kind of jumped on the ending explain bandwagon for a while, but I started to realize, I guess people in the movie community think that's like cheap or trashy to do. Like they just think of it as like, I don't know, like lazy content. And so it kind of like discouraged me from wanting to continue. Cause like, I want to be, how do I say, proud of what I make. And yeah, those ending explains are like, they're super easy to make. And they get so many views. Like, I don't even know how they get that many views just by typing ending explain in the title. So I would just I would do it for all the horror movies, even if there weren't confusing movies, and then I would feel crappy. I was like, oh man, like I'm just telling you what happens in the movie. Like there's nothing creative about that. So I eventually just stopped doing that and was like, if I can't do this in a way like I'm proud of, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah. No, I completely get it. You also did something recently that I don't know if you did before or even like attempted, then wanted to stop it, and now you've brought recently. That is the reacting to your negative
Oh,
reviews about my favorite movies, the vice
thanks, man.
versa. Uh, that's something that I really liked. So you should totally bring that back for like anything. Let
I
me
do
tell you right
need
now.
to.
Um,
Maybe you can
but
help me figure out what the next one will be, because like I was doing the Halloween theme, and now in November I'm like, there's not really a Thanksgiving movie. I don't know what to do.
oh, that's true. I mean,
But
maybe just wait for the Christmas movies.
true. I could
Yeah.
just wait.
But I noticed something on those videos that I noticed always in your videos. You have this really cool energy to yourself. You
Oh,
carry
thanks,
yourself very
man.
naturally, very energetically. It's infectious. But on those videos specifically, you're also a really funny guy, man. You have these jokes, these puns, these reactions to sometimes when you have people saying something good about a movie you hate, and vice versa. Do you script those out? Are those just things that come to you in the moment, and then they look on camera, you decide to keep it, or how does it work?
I really wish I was better at scripting or writing stuff down ahead of time, because I feel like it would make the video process easier. But
Mhm.
and not even to say like, oh, I'm just a genius. I can come off with that in the spot. Like no, like I do come up with it like while I'm making the video. Sometimes ahead of time, I can think of like I'll give you a secret. Like I don't like when I'm reading those in the videos. That isn't the first time I'm reading it. Like before I make that video, I go through, the letterbox negative reviews, and I try to find, the best like little reviews I could find or reactions from people. And then that's when I like sit and I think to myself, oh, I could probably say that. I could probably say that. But like I leave it to myself to remember for when I shoot. I don't actually write it down. But it just leaves like a lot of dead space when I actually make the videos. I'll say something, then I'll sit there for like 5 minutes, like, all right, what can I say next? So
Yeah.
it is fun to do, but like, oh man, it's so hard to try to be funny, because I don't really think of
Yeah.
myself as a funny guy. I'm very glad that you said that, but it's hard.
And I think that's something that applies to mostly everyone. I don't think, unless you're an actual stand-up comedian, maybe, or you're
Oh
working on
yeah.
SNL, I don't think anyone sees themselves as funny. So the fact that you just feel natural at it, like even though you have guts and the fact that you just come up with, and I was watching the video, I'm like, oh, it just came up on the spot and it felt natural. So that's
Thanks, man.
even another praise. And you do this full time now. This YouTube is your
Luckily,
job
yeah,
now.
this is coming up
Yeah.
on it'll be 2 years in December, and
Wow.
like every day is like a blessing, man. Because I was working a 9 to 5 job. I was a call center worker. I was the guy who would call for like, oh, you owe money on this credit card, or you didn't pay this bill, or that was just a horrible job, because it's just people being mad at you all day because you're calling them
Yeah.
to pay money that they don't have. And I can't imagine what that job is like right now in the pandemic. I'm so glad I'm not doing that, because
Oh yeah.
that would be so bad. But it was just such a draining, horrible experience, because and it's kind of what pushed me to just like try YouTube, even if I was going to embarrass myself, because it's like it can't be any worse than like having to go to work every day, just feeling so sad and depressed, and whatnot. And so the day I got to quit, where I was finally making enough to where I could pay my bills, was a freaking fantastic day. Like it was like so dramatic movie moment, looking out the window, like I did it. I'm here. And so it felt nice, but at the same time, it doesn't feel secure. It still feels unreal. It feels like next month YouTube could change something, and then I don't make it. I'm not able to pay my bills, so I have to go back and get a job. And I didn't finish college, so I'd have to go get some crappy,
Yeah.
hourly job. That and yeah, man, it just feels good to be able to do it.
And what were you doing on college? What was your major?
I tried doing film. but like
Okay.
it just didn't. It just didn't feel like I could actually succeed in it. You know, like
Mhm.
to spend a lot of money, which I don't know how it is in Australia. That's where you're from, right? I don't.
No, I am.
Sorry, my
I
bad.
actually, no, it's okay. I actually wish I was from Australia. I really want to go there. I'm from Portugal, but right now I live in the United
Portugal. There
Kingdom.
you go. My bad, man.
No
Hey,
worries.
my
That's a
bad.
cool story. Now I get to.
Yeah. My bad. But no, I don't know how college works over there, but you know, it's super expensive in the US, and my parents were not very, you know, wealthy at all, you know, so I'd have to pay it out of my own pocket, and I was scared to get loans because of, you know, that you just hear all the time of people being in debt for the longest time. So I was paying it by myself, and I was just like, if I really spend thousands of dollars on film school, and I'm not going to become the next Christopher Nolan, I'm not even going to make the next, I don't know, Jack and Jill. I'd be lucky if I did. But so I was like, I'll just be an accountant. So I was studying for accounting and marketing. But again, like I was just sitting in those classes, and I was so depressed, so sad, so bored. And I'm like, do I really want to do this? And again, it was just that pushed me to try YouTube, because like, well, it couldn't hurt.
Yeah. So before the call center job, or did YouTube come after?
So wait, what was the question again? Say it again.
Did you start YouTube before the call center job, or did YouTube come after you started that?
Oh, YouTube came after. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing that type of job for a while, just because it's good money. Like you work off commission, so like if and you
Okay.
know like I'm able to talk to people and whatnot. So I was always able to get some people to pay. So it would pay good for a non-college education, but it would just be, you know, life draining. So
Yeah.
I did do that at first, and then I hopped onto YouTube. But like the YouTube thing didn't take off until year three. That, you know, that's,
For sure.
you know, years took 3 years for it to. Then I quit twice. You know, like you upload constantly for like 3 months, and then I just like screw it for like 5 months, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll jump back on. And I'm just happy I did, you know, because I really did quit like a couple times, and I thought, yeah, I might as well just delete this before like someone in my future employer sees this or something.
Yeah. And so you quit college, and what was the plan there? Was it like, I'll just get a job, whatever comes my way, when you ended up in the call center?
Yeah, like, well, I quit just because I didn't want to keep spending money if I didn't know what I wanted to do in college.
For sure.
So that's why I was like, I'll take a break. I'll go work here in the meantime and see what happens. And usually, if you know anybody, if you take a break from college, you're usually never coming back. You can say, you know, not. I think 90% of the time people don't end up going back. When I was afraid I was going to be that one, and I did. But yeah, it was just that, because even then, I saw at the call center you had the, you know, my bosses and the people above me who did go to college, get an education, and they still just looked as miserable as me, and they were just barely making more than me. And I was like, I don't see the point in going and getting my college education when I just don't think I'd be happy.
Yeah, I totally get it, man. And look, it worked out, and
Oh,
you're living the
luckily,
dream.
man. But
Yeah,
like I said, it could go away any day, man.
that's true. That's true. And now, when that moment hits and you're able to do YouTube for a living, you quit your job. How did the people closest to you react when you told them, like
Oh,
your
my mom
girlfriend?
cried. My mom, when
Oh,
I told her I was like, I'm quitting college. I quit my job, and I'm doing YouTube full time. She cried. She thought I was being dumb. She thought it was a bad idea. She was really upset and disappointed with me, and I felt so bad for breaking my mom's heart and all that. Just because my mom is an immigrant, you know, my family's an immigrant. They came from Mexico, and the whole purpose was for me to have a better life here and get educated and you know, get into college education so that I could have a way better future than they had in Mexico. So when I said I was going to throw all that away to make videos on YouTube, it didn't really make them happy. But like now, 2 years later, and they see, you know, what YouTube has brought to me, you know, and the community I have, and being able to afford my own stuff and bills and whatnot, she's very proud and happy I stuck with it. So luckily, it worked out.
for sure, man. And now, again, going back a little bit, because now you do this full time. Was there, and you talked about, you thought about in college going to do film. Did you ever experiment with that, even if at a younger age, or maybe doing a short film with friends or whatnot? Did you ever experiment with the actual filmmaking part of being a film fan?
No, nothing more than like small little videos
Okay.
in my home and whatnot. Just because like I had friends who liked movies and whatnot, but they never liked it to the point where I was like, all right, help me make this short film, and do all this or be an actor for me. So like I never had that group. I hope to one day do that because I really do want to test myself just to see how I would do. We're people who like review and critique movies, but we've never made even something ourselves. Well, I don't know if you have or not, but like I know
Not
I have.
feature.
Yeah, not feature. Yeah, but like I haven't even made like a short film, other than like my dumb little intros. But even then, I'm not like really trying. I'm just trying to be silly and be funny. But I would definitely love to like actually rent a good camera one day and just try and film something, just see how I could do.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask that because you have fun clearly doing your intros,
Thanks.
and you could try doing the David F. Sandberg thing and just do one with your girlfriend, and then try and learn some visual effects and do it in
Yeah.
DaVinci.
That I want to, and like that's my thing is like I have all this time as a YouTuber, but I
Yeah.
spend it panicking about like what videos I should make. Like even before we got onto this call, I said, oh, can we do it in like 30-40 minutes, because I'm like I haven't made a video in 2 days. I need to sit down and think of something. And I just sit here staring at my phone, scrolling through Twitter, like, come on, what can I make? What can I make? What can I do? What can I do? Is there something? Johnny Depp just got fired. Is that interesting? I don't know. It's kind of too drama-ish for me. I don't want to really talk about that. It's like, and then I'm just like, screw it. I just let me do the interview here with him. But like, that's how I spend my time, is just panicking about
Yeah.
what content to make, when I would rather, actually be like, okay, let me look up how to do visual effects, how to use Adobe, to create some visual effects and whatnot. And I always say I'm going to, and then I get into like part one of a video and I just start getting bored, and I'm like I wish I didn't have that in me. I wish I could just fully focus, because there's also that other panic in my mind. It's like, you should be making videos, you should be doing this.
No, I totally feel you, man. Like I told you earlier, I didn't make a video for a week, but constantly was like, I wish I could make a video, but there's nothing to talk about. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
But since you're a full-time YouTuber, you have to do these things to get videos out.
Yeah.
Do you ever, what's the thought process there when, after you panic a little bit, because I'm sure that happens regularly, like
Yeah.
what's the priority there? Is you want to talk about this and you have something to say about this, or is it the people will want to see someone talk about this, me talk about this specifically, or you?
The priority is usually what the audience, for me. Sometimes I'll make something on just like I care about, even if I know it's not going to get that many views. But it usually is like what I hope the audience wants to see, and it's just giving my opinion on it. It's like I do try to give the most accurate information, but I try to make it clear, like I'm not the reporter, I'm not the journalist. This is coming from Deadline, this is coming from Hollywood Reporter, this is coming from actual professional people. And if you're watching me, it's just because you just want to hear my opinion, you just want to hear my thoughts, and nothing more. I'm like, maybe you've seen on Twitter all these scoopers or people who are like have inside sources. I never want to be one of those people. It just seems too stressful, or too, I don't know, just trying to keep track of what I've gotten right, what I've gotten wrong. It's like, no, I just, when it comes out and it's official, I'll talk about it. Heck, even if it's a rumor, just like we've been hearing the rumors about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, that's just like so interesting. Like, how could you not talk about it? But I always try to make it clear, it's like, this is a rumor, this is fact, or this is coming from here, and I'm just a geek online who's reading the same article you are online.
Yeah. And how about like stuff with movies, with shows even, because there's a ton that I'm sure you'll watch to review and you'll generally enjoy it, or maybe unfortunately sometimes no, when it comes around to January. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
But what's the type of stuff you just watch? I want to watch this to enjoy myself. You don't plan on making a video on it. You don't care to like talk about it. What's the type of stuff that you watch?
Usually, like, So like funny enough, the Star Wars stuff, like the Mandalorian thing, I like right now I haven't even seen episode 2 because I'm waiting for my girlfriend
Okay.
to come home from work. That way we can watch it together tonight and whatnot. And like I like having that be the thing I can just like watch relaxingly without having to make a video. And just because the only reason I don't make a video is because like I told you, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I'm just like casually into it. So I wouldn't know how to make a review or an Easter egg or a breakdown video just because I'm barely familiar with that world, you know, so I wouldn't feel right making reviews on it just because I'm not that knowledgeable in it. So it's funny enough, like the Star Wars stuff, I'm you know calm to do that. If not, um, sometimes a lot of straight like to Netflix stuff. You know, I don't cover a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
Netflix movies, even though I should now because of the pandemic and it's just there's nothing on in theaters. But yeah, sometimes like a Netflix movie like The Devil in Time when that came out, it's like I just want to see Robert Pattinson and Tom Holland act together, see how that goes without the worry in my mind while I'm watching it. Like, do I like the cinematography? How's his acting? Is the story good? What's my flaw here? Like, I hate having those thoughts. Like, I just want to enjoy something and then I think about it later.
Yeah, I get you, man. I totally get you. And another thing you uploaded recently was that you just announced it was just announced that there was a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a sequel to the '90s movie in the works with the suits and whatnot, and you were pretty excited for that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
is that something that you still like the IP itself in general, like with all the shows that have existed up until today? Is that something that you're still big into today?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I'll always be an IP blockbuster, you know, big movie kind of guy, just because I'm not gonna kid myself and like think I'm very sophisticated and like I enjoy the indie movies whenever it's that time around the A24
Mm.
films or and whatnot. But I just like the big blockbusters, the IPs. That's kind of what got me into this world, and that's what I think I'll always watch just for entertainment and fun because movies are an escapism. But I always think it is also great to watch, you know, those films that make you think or that are on a deeper level and whatnot. But for my audience, I can't really make a movie about the latest A24 movie because they'll be like, "What? Who cares?"
Unless it's a horror movie, maybe.
Yeah, unless maybe it's a horror movie. But even if it's a horror movie, it has to be like it has to be catchy. Like that. Like
Mm.
that's where I was happy. I did a couple of marketing classes in college because like you just kind of understand what you can like sell to an audience or and whatnot. And that's how I think of it. Each video is a product that I'm selling to my viewers. Of like, okay, here's information. Here's why you should be excited about it. And not everything is like always, you know, exciting to talk about, but sometimes it is.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. And clearly, even though eventually you quit and you got into this life and it worked out, you clearly were paying attention when you were there.
Thanks, man.
um, Now, getting a little bit into now, what's with the channel and everything? Luckily, and thank the heavens, it has worked out. What's the thing you're most proud of when it comes to your YouTube channel? And now you've created this brand, 3C.
Thanks, man. Uh, I don't know. Like, I think it really is just like the community, just like the nice people I've been able to build. There's some channels out there that you know, all the power to them if that's how they want to do it, where they build their channel on hate. You know, where all they
Yeah.
talk about is like, oh, this movie's woke, or this movie just went this, and this actor is bad, and I hate this, I hate that. And I generally just try to always stay positive. I still like will mention if I don't like something, but even if I do, I make it clear like, oh, it's cool for you to like it. It's fine if you're into
Yeah.
that. Um, and so I guess that's just what I'm more proud of is just the community I've built of positive people, of people who are willing to look on the other side, people who don't get angry if I disagree with them, you know, because like I'll talk about like I like The Last Jedi, and that's like a horrible statement to make sometimes to some people, but I've gotten to the point now where if I say that on my channel, I'm not gonna get 100 dislikes. People are gonna be like, oh, well,
Yeah.
that's okay. I hated it, but I'm glad you liked it, Chris.
Yeah, you by the way, on the Last Jedi. There's something I actually, there's something that actually just popped in my mind. I should have asked it at the beginning, but
You're good.
where did the name come from? The 3C Films.
Oh, so whenever I, you know, obviously I was like, well, I'll make a movie channel. The main thing you do on a movie channel is review movies. So I was like, okay, but I want to be unique. I don't want to have like a 1 through 10. I don't want to have a 5 star. I don't want to have an A through F
Mm.
rating. I need to do something different. That's what's going to set me apart. So I created a rating system in where I rank, I review the movies based on what kind of moviegoer you are. So like if you're a casual fan, meaning you just barely go to the movies, like maybe once or three times a year, then how you would like the movie this way. If you're a cinephile who watches the big blockbusters, the Marvel movies, the DC movies and whatnot, or the big action films, how you would like it. Or the critic, the person who watches the indie films, the more artsy films that have to do with acting and storytelling. That's how you would like it. So I don't know, something that just came out recently, like what's a movie that just came out? Did you see Freaky yet?
No, it's not out here, but I really want to see. I asked for the screener because I'm international.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you get it. But something like that, I would like, okay, a casual fan, it's just a comedy, it's simple fun. I think casual fans would get an A out of it. Like they would get an A. A cinephile, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of humor, it's very entertaining. I think they, B plus. Critically, I mean, the story's a little silly. The characters don't always have the great motivations. There's a couple of plot holes here. So critically, I'll give it like a C plus. Like that was 3CFilms. So like I try to go for the wide range of moviegoers there is out there. I thought I was clever with that, but now I barely do reviews. My name doesn't make that much sense.
But that is probably the most unique
Thanks,
rating
man.
system I've heard, man. Like, I don't go around asking many people for their like, what does it mean, like your rating system? But that's probably the most unique one I've heard, man. So congrats on that.
Thanks.
That's really
Appreciate
cool. How now we talked about your YouTube up until now. What's the next step? What's like not the next thing you're gonna do, the next thing you want to do, like the next thing you're gonna try, the next big thing you want to try?
I definitely want to upload short films, just like little 5-10 minutes original idea short films. Like hopefully by next October, just to be in the horror section. But aside from that, like I don't know, I want to do more entertaining stuff. Like have you seen in my intros? I use the green screen. I feel like there's more entertaining things I can do with that, where it's like a whole video. I had the idea of like maybe green screening myself into an entire movie, not like uploading the whole movie, but like kind of like in the vein of like Honest Trailers or How It Should Have Ended, but with myself in it. So like I'll put myself in a scene with Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and using the dialogue Joaquin says in that movie, I'll try to also talk back to him and put myself in there. Like it's gonna take a lot of work, but I don't know, just something more fun and entertaining. Just because I like doing the news, but like as you see now, when there's no news happening for days, it makes it hard to make content. So I guess the next step for me is just try to think of content that's just more fun, that can be made out of nowhere.
Yeah, that idea actually, it's not the same idea. It's something completely different what you want to do, and I mean that in a good way. But something that
Thank you.
that takes that principle of putting yourself through a green screen in a movie. It reminds me of what Kevin James is doing with his YouTube channel with the sound guy.
I had the idea before, and then like whenever I saw Kevin James do it, I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. But like he made it look so easy and good. I was like, well, Kevin James already did it. I don't even know if I can do it now. But that's exactly what I like, when he was the sound guy. Like I thought those were so funny. I love Kevin James. So yeah, something like that is kind of what I wanted to do, but like pretend to be a character in the movie, I guess, instead of like the sound guy.
No, for sure, man, and I hope to see it sooner or later. I hope you do it.
Maybe.
No, I'm sure you know this. I'm sure I'm not telling you anything new, but you're an inspiration to many people, like to your audience, to people who have YouTube channels, to people who want to start. What's a word of advice you'd give to someone wanting to start? Not like, oh, I want to start to make a living out of this, because that's not the way to go at it.
It's impossible to do. Yeah.
But what's your advice for someone? Hey, I want to do a channel about movies. Maybe it's reviews, maybe it's news, but whatever.
I think I hate to say it, you can do reviews and whatnot, but I say if that's the only thing, okay, if the only thing you can think of to do with your YouTube channel is reviews, reactions, rankings, then it's just going to be hard for you, because there's already so many other people doing that. There's already so many established people who like they've created it, they're perfect at it and whatnot. Reaction channels, ranking channels. So if that's the only thing you can think of, you gotta try something different. You gotta be unique. You gotta create your own flavor to it, and it's gonna be hard, like. But that's the point, and it's also, be yourself. Like I know that sounds dumb, but like I don't think anybody could copy the energy you have, and I hope no one can copy what I do, where I just try to be silly and dumb for fun. But like that's kind of what sells you, like I'm also friends like with Austin. I don't know if you heard Austin Burke, and like I like his professionalism, but he throws in a little silly humor in there and stuff, and that's just like something that he can do in his audience. He can talk about like the professional movies, like the A24s or the Oscar times, and that's from his personality. So it's always like stick to your personality, what you know best. If you are a big Star Wars fan, or if you're a big fan of Batman or anything like that, then focus on that, because when people see you're passionate about it, they'll just watch you for the passion for it. I know people who watch my videos who are like, I don't even care about this movie, but you're so passionate, I just want to see your opinion.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I don't care about. I'm sorry to say this. I don't care about Nightmare on Elm Street particularly. Like it's a series of movies. I just it's fine. I'll watch them every now and then. But I love watching you specifically talk about them.
Oh, thanks, man. That was so... But yeah, and just like with your Mandalorian reviews, like I like watching you because you are a big Star Wars fan. You actually do love that world a lot. So like it's always curious to me, is like, oh, I like this episode, but how does someone who loves Star Wars feel about this episode?
Yeah, for sure. And it's that thing, it's the passion that comes across. I always say that you should always enjoy what you are doing. If you're not enjoying it, nobody else will enjoy it.
Exactly.
But we're about to run out of time. So again, before we wrap up, thank you so much for doing this. But
no, thank you for having me,
man. It's my pleasure. Seriously, when people commented on you, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna tag him and see if he says yes. And then he said yes.
I've always had. I just feel bad because like now, like I used to when I was a little smaller channel, I had all the time in the world to like always collab and be on other people's channel. Now like I'm just so panicky about my channel and trying to focus on what I do. Like sometimes I don't always have time to be with other channels, but I'm always going to be friendly. Like I don't care if I get to 1 million or 3 million, which I don't think I ever will. But if I did, I still love talking to channels like yours and whatnot, because it's just a lot of fun. And you guys are really the heart of YouTube and spreading the word and stuff. And like sometimes you get screeners that I can't even get my hands on. So I'm always watching your channel.
Thank you so much, man. I want to ask you to give me 3 channels you love watching that you think should get more attention than they get. Like you look at their numbers and you're like, oh, this girl or this guy should be getting much more numbers.
Oh man, that's hard to say, because like once you become a YouTuber, it's kind of hard for me to watch other movie related YouTubers, just because like, not that there's a jealousy, but there's like a thing of like, oh man, they're so good at this. Like it makes me feel like, oh, I could be better. Like, or I'm just like, oh, dang it, they beat me to it. But I mean, other than channels like yours and Zach's, that I really do think you guys are really great in the community. Someone like Austin Burke, who like reviews every single thing that comes to Netflix, Amazon, Hulu. I tell him all the time, I don't know how you have the time in the world to do that, but I think his channel is just so useful for if you need opinions on anything. Because I bet if something new pops up on Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, he already has a review out for you to tell you if it's worth watching or not. So someone like him. Sure. Other than that, let me see if I can go to my subscriptions here of people I watch here, just to get an idea. Because I still stick to like the big people here, so I don't even know if they're. Let me see here. Sorry about this dead air. I'm such a horrible guest right now.
No worries, man. No worries at all.
It really just would be channels like yours and whatnot that I think deserves a lot more recognition here, just because even though they are smaller, like or Movie Files is another one I subscribe to and watch. I think they're really the heart of YouTube and the movie reviewing community, so they should definitely get a shout out.
All right, thank you so much, Chris, for not only bringing those channels up, but also including me on this list. I feel honored. Now, the last question, Chris, and this is a big one. This is a biggie. No. Who should be the next guest? I want your input on who should be the next guest on Origin Story.
Next guest on origin story. Okay, so let's see here. I mean, you got to keep hitting it with the big ones here. You could go with Sean if he's got the time, Sean Chandler. If not, I'd say Austin Burke. I think Austin would have the time, and I think I'd really love to hear more about his story and whatnot.
For sure. I don't know how he would have at the time because, as you said, he reviews everything.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
But I'll certainly keep it in mind. I'll certainly get in contact with him if the people down in the comments vote for him as well. Cris Parker, thank you so much for being on Origin Story. Like the second episode, and I already got you. You are so big. You're such a
no man.
Someone I really like to watch generally. And
thank you. Buddy.
And you said you're always busy. You don't have time for collabs, but right now I've gotten you 2 times on my channel. So
there you go, man. Feel happy.
Again, thank you so much. And what do you have like coming up, and where can people find you across the internet?
Yeah, you guys can find me youtube.com/3CFilms or on Twitter at 3CFilmReview. Coming up, man. Oh, I wish you could tell me. Maybe I'll work on another reacting to negative reviews, but I have to think of a topic. If not, I really need to think of something, man, because it's just been so dry here.
Well, everyone, you can catch Cris on every link. I'll put all his links in the description. Cris, again, thank you so much. Keep on the hard work, because you deserve every single view, every single subscriber, everything you get good coming your way. It's true. It's true. And everyone, don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote on who should be the next guest. If you want to, like Cris, see Austin, let Austin know. Tag him on Twitter. Let me know on Twitter, in the comments, anywhere. And until the next video, this is the show where you tell your story.